Hi, this is Sue Jackson of the Book by Book blog, and I'm here today with my Friday reads. Since we are now in December, I am finished with my various reading themes and challenges that I do throughout the year. Big Book Summer, which I host myself from May to early September. The RIP Challenge in September and October for reading darker books in the fall. Nonfiction November, which I really enjoyed this year. And so December and January for me are just sort of no rules, no themes, just read whatever you want. I always read books that I want to read, but this is just sort of more loose for me. So I have loads of books on my shelf to choose from. We have an entire bookcase with four shelves high, wider than this one behind me. Some of the shelves have double rows now. They are all books waiting to be read, and most of them are mine. My husband's got a few short stacks on that bookcase. So I have loads to choose from. I'm also trying to finish up any books that I received as gifts in previous years so that I'm ready for the new books I know I will receive at Christmas. So just kind of a fun, loose, read whatever you want time for me. And I am currently reading and listening to books by some of my favorite authors. So I have been reading Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel this week. I've been greatly anticipating this book for several reasons. I really like Emily St. John Mandel's novels. Thoroughly enjoyed Station 11, as did many people. Earlier this spring, I read The Glass Hotel, and I really enjoyed that. And so Sea of Tranquility, which came out this year and my husband gave to me for my birthday this summer, is not a sequel, but it's got some of the same characters and settings as in The Glass Hotel. So you don't have to have read The Glass Hotel, but I think you'll enjoy this much more if you have, because you've got that insider knowledge. This is, not only was I excited because it's a follow-up to The Glass Hotel, but also because it's about time travel. And I love time travel. Another favorite author of mine is Connie Willis, who writes amazing historical fiction about time travelers. I love the thought-provoking nature of time travel, how it makes you think, how it can like twist your brain into knots trying to figure something out. So the setup here, at the beginning of the book, you meet different characters in different time periods, ranging from 1912 to like our present day around 2020, and moving forward to the 2300s and even into the 2400s. And in each place, we meet different characters. And Vincent, who was the main character in The Glass Hotel, does appear in this book. So the really intriguing thing about each of these stops in a different time period and meeting these different characters is that all of those characters in all of those different time periods meet the same man. So right from the start, you know there's some time travel involved, and but you don't know exactly what's going on. And I won't spoil it. I would never do that. But it is a wonderful book. My only complaint is it is much too short. I have actually been reading really slowly the last couple of days because I want to make it last. I very easily could have finished it last night. I've got like probably 6 pages left, and some of them are very short. but I just couldn't bear to finish it. So I will finish it today. Not sure what I'm going to be reading next, but I am really loving Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. On audio, I'm listening to a novel by Geraldine Brooks called Horse. Now, Brooks is another of my favorite authors, and I discovered her completely by accident. Shortly after joining my neighborhood book group years ago, they chose the book March by Geraldine Brooks, which she won the Pulitzer Prize for. It's set during the Civil War, and it's the story of what Mr. March from Little Women experienced while he was away at the war. Now, when my new book group at the time, when they picked this book, I thought, ugh, historical fiction, that sounds really boring. Because I thought that I didn't like historical fiction. And then I read that book and was just blown away by it. Just loved being immersed in the history. The way that Brooks made me care about the characters set in this historical background that I knew very little about. And ever since then, I've realized that I actually love historical fiction, and that is kind of her specialty. Now, ironically, almost every one of her books that I've read, I've read the synopsis and thought, this doesn't sound interesting to me. And every time she just blew me away. So I know from experience that she's a very talented writer. So Horse is indeed about a horse, a racehorse. And again, not something I'm super interested in, though you might find that strange, since in Nonfiction November, I just finished reading Seabiscuit by Laura Hillenbrand, which of course is also about a racehorse. Laura writes nonfiction, but she's got that same talent for storytelling. So in this novel, Horse by Geraldine Brooks, the narrative moves back and forth in time. So it begins close to the present day in 2019. And there are two different characters' perspectives you get here. Theo, a graduate student from Ghana who is studying art history. Theo finds an old painting of a horse in a pile of junk that his neighbors set out for people to take, with a sign just saying free. So he takes the painting, and because of his art history background, and also because he's writing an article for the Smithsonian magazine, he decides to look into this painting and find out more about it. At the same time, we have Jess, also in Washington, D.C. Theo's a student at Georgetown, I forgot to mention. Jess works for the Smithsonian, putting together animal skeletons, restoring and putting together animal skeletons. It's something she has loved since she was a child, a very strange child, and she works for the Smithsonian now. She gets a request from a fellow museum person over in England that they found a record that the Smithsonian borrowed a horse skeleton from them years ago, and it was never returned. So Jess begins looking for this skeleton, and she finds it, and it is the skeleton of a horse. So eventually Jess and Theo meet. That's what's happening kind of in the present day. Then the narrative moves back to 1850 and to a young boy who's a slave named Garrett. Garrett lives on a horse farm in Lexington, Kentucky. His father is actually a free man. He was able to buy his freedom. So Garrett works for a man who is relatively kind as far as slave owners go. He allowed Garrett's father, Harry, to buy his freedom. When a new foal is born, he gives it to Harry as his payment for that year. And Harry lets his son, Garrett, train the horse. So officially Garrett's a groom, but he begins training this horse. He develops a really strong relationship with it. And then all kinds of things happen, but again, no spoilers here ever. I'm really loving this so far. The audio is done with multiple narrators, so I am really enjoying that, getting this perspective from different points in history, from different people, and the things that are happening, particularly to Garrett in the 1850s, as Theo and Jess in 2019 are trying to kind of unravel this mystery of this horse. So definitely recommend Horse by Geraldine Brooks. I'm about halfway through the audio right now and thoroughly enjoying it. So that's what I'm reading this week. I would love to hear what you're reading. Tell me all about it in the comments down below. Take a moment to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. And tell me what you're reading this weekend.